Hey everyone, this is Ryan with From Corners Unknown. I hope you're all doing well. A couple weeks ago, I had the pleasure of speaking with Jameson of Decline. They're a band based in Pelham, Ontario. They play this really disgusting amalgamation of death metal, power violence, grindcore, and hate metal. Really sonically abrasive and nasty, depressing stuff. Really implore everybody to check it out. I actually stumbled upon these guys when I was doing some searching for bands for the compilation in the weeks leading up to its release, and after being sonically accosted by the opening track on their latest EP titled EP1, I instantly reached out to Jameson to learn more about his project, and this is the resulting conversation. I really enjoyed speaking with Jameson and learning more about himself, and he's quite a talented guy. He played all the instruments that you hear on EP1, and he even built and founded his own recording studio. He also plays in this awesome doom band by the name of Lovelace in the Ontario area as well. So I hope you enjoy this conversation, and thank you so much for your continued support, and thank you for any support you can show Jameson in Decline. Just after this introduction, I'll play a small clip of one of the songs off their EP1, and I'll close out the conversation with what remains of that track. Thank you again. Thank you very much for taking time to speak with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, I just randomly stumbled upon you just a couple days ago or a few days ago. So, the first release you had as Decline was a track called Wretch, I believe.
Yeah, Wretch. Yeah, that came out in the summer.
Okay. With respect to the project as a whole, what was, just the origin of it? Is it just you alone, or do you have some other folks playing with you?
I do have bandmates for when we do play live. So like my friend Davis Maxwell, he plays drums in Heavy Hearts.
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever heard
no,
it, but
no.
They're a big sort of like rock alternative band on they're on New Damage Records, which is like an affiliate of Dynalone Records up here in Canada.
Okay, and
so
you're in the Niagara area, or the Pelham? Is that is that the city?
Yeah, Pelham is like it's kind of just this tiny sort of like, it's not a farm town or anything by any means, not where I live anymore, but it's just not, it's 13,000 people or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Where I live, and then there's St. Catharines and Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Around. But yeah, there's Davis, my friend Jason, who I went to high school with, and then Davis introduced me to this dude, Louie, who used to be in a hardcore band from town over called Welland,
Okay.
and the band was Resign.
Resign.
And they only put up one song, but they were like, I never got to see them either. Because Davis and Louis are a couple. Davis is 24, 25, and then Louis is, I think, 24.
Okay.
And then Jason and I are both 20.
Oh,
so,
jeez. Dang. Okay, awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, Davis was in another band called Without, and they disbanded.
Mm-hmm.
And he was. I've always wanted to be in a heavy band. I was just never really. It was hard to find people, right? Because finding a good drummer, that's nice, and cooperative is difficult. And usually those are already snatched up by 2 or 3 other bands, and then it just kind of everything just sort of fell into my lap somehow, and then yeah, and that's just a good group of guys. So like we got together. I had written that song.
Yeah.
Just to put out, just so we could have something to have promoters to hear, so we could get some shows. And
for sure,
we put that out, and then played our first show a couple days later. And then we're very busy.
I see. I see. Just personal, like just not related to like. Is this related to like other musical projects, or is this just life in general?
Other musical projects, and also just Davis records. He's an audio engineer at the place called Virgil Public Studio.
Okay.
It's just like, it's not abandoned public studio or like an old public school, but it's like it used to be a public school, and now the owner rents it out to people. So the basement of that, it's this huge place, and he rents that out as a studio.
Oh, cool.
So that's really cool. And then I own my studio, and then Jason and Louis both have full-time adult jobs.
Jeez.
So yeah. I work part-time.
Okay.
And record and play in another band called Lovelace.
Lovelace.
Okay. Drums and that, yeah.
And what kind of what does that sound like?
That's like an ambient doom, sort of like a little bit heavier than Chelsea Wolf.
Awesome.
But yeah, female lead, it's really cool.
Wow, I'm really excited to listen to that. That sounds fantastic too.
I can link you that as well.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds great. That sounds great.
But yeah, it's really hard to get together because we're all really busy, and I work midnights and they all work in the day, so it's difficult to get together. But
yeah,
I don't know. It was I've just been sitting on a lot of music for a long time, and like a lot of like feeling, just aggression and like pent up energy that I need to expel.
Sure, that makes sense. And is Decline kind of your main project for that, kind of your like to just expel all that energy? Or
yeah, most definitely. Yeah, Decline is like I love playing in Lovelace because it's just a fun time, right? And I love playing drums. And it's not that it's not fun to play in Decline or anything. That's not what I'm saying. I just mean that's more of like I use it more of an outlet of it's more of like a cathartic outlet for me instead of just like I like having fun. I like playing music, but that's sort of like that's the thing that works for getting stuff out. So
I see. So you said you play drums in Lovelace. Do you also play drums in Decline, or do you do the vocals? I was curious about that too.
I play on the recording that I just released. Mm-hmm. I played all of the instruments, but I just do vocals in Decline.
Wow. So you recorded all the instruments yourself, or you put all that together on your own, the EP1?
Yeah, no, I wrote those songs, and I just didn't sleep for a long time. I wrote those songs in a 24-hour period, and then recorded them in the same 24-hour period, and then
oh my
yeah,
God.
and then I it's not totally true. Like I went back and did vocals over a couple of days, and then and then kind of just like messed with the peripheral production, sort of like the little things that you don't get just from instruments. They were like but. That being said, I was just sitting on it for a long time, and I wasn't really happy with the mix. And I mean, I'll never really be happy with the mix because I'm just very much a perfectionist in that sense. But
I see.
But yeah, that was all like recorded, instruments played, everything was done by me.
Wow. That's impressive. That was one of my first questions, just because I saw it. It said in the description on Bandcamp, it said, it was lyrics and instruments or music written by yourself, but then I saw, the initials of all the bandmates on the right-hand side of the page, so I was having a hard time distinguishing if you just, wrote the pieces and then your bandmates played them, but that's pretty impressive that you played all that, because that's I really dig that EP a lot.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah.
I just hate being bad at stuff, so
Yeah.
I just practice a lot. So
I see.
but yeah, no, I didn't want to like take the spotlight away from anyone else. That's why like the initials are all there. Like I don't. When someone can't make a jam, I'll fill in on that instrument, and then we won't jam with vocals or something like that. And it's more out of just necessity at this point that I learned to play all of the instruments.
Okay.
But they are all obviously capable and more than able to play them. So it's.
And are drums your primary instrument? Like, what was the first instrument you picked up before you, like, just in general, like, your background with respect to music?
Yeah, I started playing guitar. I'm originally a guitarist, so I started playing guitar when I was, like, 10 maybe, I think, was when I got my first real amp and guitar. Yeah, my brother had a drum set, and I would always go and, like, I would go play around on that, but I wouldn't really, he'd get mad because, It was like when your brother's like growing up, it's kind of like, that's mine, don't touch this.
Yeah, of course.
So,
of course.
And then as we progressed in age, obviously that dropped. But I was recording Lovelace. Mm-hmm. That is my friend Figgy. That's her project, and she didn't have a drummer or a bassist or anything. So I was like, oh, I'll play drums on the recording, and I'll do the bass and everything. And then you'll find someone or like I can do it. And then I ended up just loving it. It was great. It was a good time. So when I recorded that, I had been playing drums, like actually playing drums for 6 months or so. And then and then that release came out in August. So it's like I've been practicing as a drummer for about a year.
Okay.
So, and that's it. And then bass is not too much of a difficult switch from guitar.
I see. Okay. So I guess before we get too deep into some of the music on display, or just Decline and EP1 in general, what are some of your general background in music, like listening to music, and what your influences are, and like what really speaks to you and things of that sort?
I'm really into music that I can hear the aggression, like for heavy music especially. If I can hear the aggression, I can hear that there are all of the bad emotions present, and I am convinced of that, then that's what affects me the most. I find a lot of heavy bands will be heavy for the sake of being heavy, so they'll tune their guitars down to a drop G or whatever it is, and then not to take away from their musicianship or anything, that's great, and I understand that not everyone's message is to get out the most emotion, but I the thing that has always resonated with me the most is the music where I'm like, yeah, I can really hear the hate, and I can really hear the anger in that. I see. So stuff like Dead in the Dirt and Primitive Man and Vermin Womb.
Yep, I love all
Secret
three
Cutter.
of those. Yep.
Yeah. Those are all
Secret. Say that again.
Secret Cutter.
Secret Cutter.
Yeah, they have
okay.
They have one full length that is just punishing the whole time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know what I'm listening to after this conversation. Then that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So there's that. There's like it's just if I'm listening to music, mm-hmm. there are times where having music where I can just appreciate the songs by themselves. That's always great,
Sure.
So if the music's there and then also the emotion is there, that's where it's like You Fail Me by Converge. That whole album is very emotional and also just heavy.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's why Converge has really gone as far as they have, is because they don't draw the line mm-hmm. with just like, this is a song, these are the lyrics. It's kind of like Bannon kind of puts a little bit extra into it, and
for sure,
we're convinced, So
yeah, definitely. So that helps me a good bit. So I guess I've seen the descriptor, the genre descriptor thrown around a bit before, and I don't know if you're I've spoken with some folks that are fans of genre, like, describing their musical genres, and some who aren't. But when you say like hate metal, what is that, like, in your words? What is that? Because I've seen it thrown around, but I'm always kind of at a loss as to what it actually means or what it denotes.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that's a real genre.
Okay.
To me, it just means that is the most amount of negativity I can put into something, and that's where you're going to hear it, right? So
Got it.
instead of like, I don't want it to be misconstrued as like it's against something.
Yeah.
That is it's just a product of hate. Like, it's just a product of anger and a product of depression and all those things, that it's just like, I don't want it to. It is not in opposition of anything. It is just yeah.
No, that's good to know, because I didn't get that vibe from your lyrics or your music at all, but I just kind of wanted to make sure I was delineating between, that and if it was against anything in particular, but I didn't get that vibe at all. I just curious what it,
Yeah, there it's not that, like, I'm sure there will be lyrics written that are anti-establishment and sort of like,
of course,
anti-fascist and like, obviously, like, against homophobia and against racism and things like that. Like, people should just be treated like people.
Of course. Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't label us as a political band or anything, and that's not the message that I'm trying to get out. It's kind of
okay. No, that makes that makes sense. Yeah. So I guess, speaking to your first EP and kind of how you were noting your lyrics and things of that sort. Yeah, like, where do you draw your lyrics from? Because I was reading them, listening to the music, and there's kind of like this morbid poeticism and flow to it, and I think that they're very powerful and very well written.
Thank you.
Yeah, just very dark and grimy, and like, I almost felt like there was a little bit of a thread of a story going through it. In a way, maybe it was just the way the songs flowed together, but I kind of got an impression of some flow, and I could be totally misconstruing that. But we're like, from like, what, if it's not sensitive to talk, if it's not too sensitive to talk about, like, what?
No. I'm totally open to talk about it.
Yeah. Like, where does it come from, or just like your personal experiences and things of that sort?
The lyrics are just basically an expression of like what's kind of just happened, and like, and I don't know. I would have to look at them right now because I'm not kind of drawing a blank to what I actually wrote right now. But that feeling of just like hopelessness and sort of like, the ugly sides of depression.
Sure. Yeah.
Where it's just like the things that people don't really want to talk about and the things that people are uncomfortable hearing.
Yep.
That's more of the draw for what the lyrics are.
Okay.
Okay. And it's not for any shock value or anything.
No. Yeah.
But I think it's just out of the many times that I've like gone to see someone professionally or anything like that, or ask someone for help, it's kind of just like the most cathartic and effective way of me getting from point A to point B is just getting it out in a musical form, because that is the thing that resonates with me the most. So those lyrics are kind of just like, every time I'm having a real bad time, I'll just put it into that, and then that's kind of like it kind of just puts like a little pause on where I'm at.
Okay.
And then it's kind of just taking a step back, like a little 24-hour period of just like I should give myself a minute.
Sure, that makes sense.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
no, definitely.
Yeah. There's it's mostly just roots of like mental illness and things like that, and I don't want it to be romanticized by any means, because I don't think I made it to seem like that.
No. There's like, I wrote down one of the lines that I found particularly, like, just harrowing or just kind of gripping, and it was, I think you said, "I know you'll reserve your warmest notions for when I'm already gone." It just kind of stuck with me, just because it's such there's like truth in that statement, and it's just kind of
that was I'm pretty sure I got that lyric from, like, there was an episode of Friends or something like that, and Ross did something along those lines, but it was just about just Ross being his sort of like pessimistic self. Sure. But I don't know, there's just been many occasions where friends have passed away, or friends of friends have passed away, and you see the huge flood of love coming into their life after they're already gone.
Yeah.
But in many of those occasions, in many of those instances, they would have still been here if you had just presented that love to them and presented that acceptance and that level of admiration for them. If they had seen that when they were alive, they probably wouldn't be gone.
Sure. Yeah. No.
So that's sort of like a retrospective look back at like, oh, maybe I should just tell my friends I love them before I can't.
Yeah. No, and I think that at least when I listen to it, those lyrics in tandem with kind of, just the vocal delivery and the musicianship, it really kind of gets that, it gets that feeling across. So I guess like just continuing on the train of thought with respect to the lyrics and the EP, is there some sort of synergy or story you're kind of threading together in
like a thematic element to it?
Yeah. Like, is there a general theme that you're trying to convey? Just because when I listen to at least like the last three songs, kind of how you have the tense build up in what's the song, Peripheral, and then it kind of releases, then you got that really nice little ambient bit, like that airy transcript song, and then the Gutter Pig is just like complete miasma of just like feedback and just kind of gross,
purposeful bad noises.
Yeah. So I don't know if there was intent there. I mean, there probably was, but I'm just curious about that. Is there?
What happens usually is I'll write the lyrics first.
Okay.
And that is harder, I feel, for many people to make a song around that, because most people like to fit the lyrics to it. But I find I get into I have a lot of songs written, they're just not released yet or recorded yet, but I find I'll get into sort of like the same path of rhythm and the same path of song structure and flow if I do the songs first.
Okay.
So if I write the lyrics in my head and then imagine how I want the cadence of the vocals to go, then it's easier for me to create a unique drum beat or a unique guitar rhythm or something like that.
Sure.
And then in respect to the sounds of everything and the tone of the guitars and how the drums are played and how the feedback exists in the music, because I understand that most definitely feedback is not everyone's cup of tea.
Oh yeah.
Especially in the volume that I've presented. But that is just like if I were to take the feeling of what those lyrics are or what the message is, and then trying to embody that into a sound, in a sonic element, then that's where the feedback comes in, where you just feel compressed and you just feel weighed down.
Sure.
And like struggling.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, and how was it kind of refining all the mixing of this and the mastering? Because when I listened to this, I really got that kind of like that overwhelming cacophony. It almost sounded like the vocals were like recorded in a casket or something. Like it just sounded really claustrophobic. I mean, how did you? Did that take a while to finesse and get to somewhere where you were like, oh, this is the sound I want to get into people's ears? I'm very particular about the sounds that I make.
Okay. Happen. So, I mean, I'm still not 100% happy with how the EP sounds, just because there's always that one step ahead and everything. But the vocals were recorded just in a big room, and then there's just a bit of distortion on them just to give it like a more aggressive feel. Because there are some really great vocalists who don't use distortion at all, and they have the proper technique. And honestly, like I can commend them for that, because it is difficult to do that.
I see.
That is not the sound that I'm going for. I just want it to sound like I'm shredding my throat, and I just want it to sound like I'm in pain.
Yeah. And
that usually happens. So, so yeah, it's just me just giving 100% of what I can give, and then if I like it, I'll keep it, and then kind of like process a little bit, and then if I don't like it, I'll just like have a cup of coffee and like warm my throat back up and not talk for a couple hours afterwards.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, the vocals were just I can't honestly. I think I'm pretty sure I just used an SM7B and then just wailed into it.
Okay. Okay.
That
Yeah.
was
No.
that's
Yeah.
my process.
I'm not. Competent with like all the technologies folks use to
Oh,
produce
okay,
the
yeah.
sounds and stuff. I'm not. I wish I was competent, but I'm so aloof to those kinds of
It's just
details.
yeah, just the average metal
Yeah.
screaming recording mic can handle high sound pressure levels, and that's why it's where it's at.
I
But
see.
yeah, the guitars were recorded with like a Mesa single rectifier
Okay.
and a Trainer YGL. I don't know. Do you play any instruments, or are
I
you?
no, I mean I tried playing instruments in the past and I just sucked at every one of them. So I just thought I should just stick with what I'm good at, and that's just talking to folks and trying to write some about music.
True.
Yeah, that's like the best. That's the thing I'm decent at. So
Being a doom band or a sludge band, you can just play slow.
yeah,
You can get it all out.
yeah. No,
That
I've
works.
considered it. I've considered it, or just doing I don't know, or trying maybe like ambient stuff. I've considered it,
Yeah,
but I haven't stepped into it just yet or tried.
it takes a lot out of you if you're just learning.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
can imagine.
but yeah, then the kit was just thrown together with a bunch of different drums that I've found at antique markets and things that I've refinished and kind of just made this sound like what I want. Um,
No, it's
so yeah,
really that's really interesting. It sounds like kind of an untraditional way of like just instrumentation setup to get the sound. I mean, at least with respect to the drums, I haven't heard somebody speak about that before. Just kind of cobbling it together, just to get the exact tone.
yeah, it was kind of just mic thrown on cab because when I'm recording by myself, so I have to run back and forth from the control room to the live room. So I'll just loop the track and then do 3 or 4 takes, and then take 2 of those, cut them up, and then just put them on either side so I have a stereo image.
Okay, okay,
And I mean, maybe eventually I'll start playing guitar in this band, and then we can have dual guitar parts.
yeah,
But
for sure.
as just for hearing the guitar, uh, I just had the same guitar part on both sides, so you can hear it properly.
Sure, that makes sense.
Um,
That makes
and then
sense.
yeah, bass was sort of like mic thrown on an old 215 cab, and then just a lot of distortion into it, feedback, and
Okay,
all the stuff people usually get rid of. I just leave in.
I see. I see.
That
Huh?
feedback is what I remember the first time that I heard feedback
Yeah.
that was like purposefully done badly.
Who was that?
That was Dead in the Dirt. Was the first time. Are you familiar with the song "Strength Through a Restraint"? That's the 4th song. That one where it's just feedback the entire time.
Is it the only album? How many albums do they have again? I can't recall.
They have 3. They have the Vold EP, and then Fear, and then they have the Blind Hole, and the Blind Hole is the big one that.
That's the one that I have on. I have that one on. I have an LP of that. I love.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I
Well,
love that record to death. I
yeah,
listen to that all the time. Just like all the different genre switching and like the breakdowns and the crazy. I love it so much.
yeah. That's just a 100% punishing record the whole way through.
Yep, it's super good. Is the song you're talking about on that one though? I haven't listened to it for a
Yeah,
couple months. It's been
yeah. It's
okay.
the 4th one. That's like the one that's like tear myself apart, put myself together. That sort of.
Oh, okay.
Right after that, no fucking escape part, was just like where it slows down, and then
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No.
that one.
Okay, no, I remember that now. Now that you're kind of annotating the bits of it, I can remember that song where
Yeah,
it's just complete feedback, just kind of ringing out the whole time too.
yeah. I remember just everyone I would show that song to would be like, turn it off. And I'd be like, that's okay. No, I really like it. And they're like, how can you like this?
Man.
I feel like I'm in my own little world when I'm just drowning in feedback. So it's
Sure,
nice.
sure. Are there I guess just to sate my curiosity on your other bands that really like, what were some of the first extreme metal bands you listened to, or the bands that you listened to and you're just like, oh, this is exactly the kind of music I want to produce, or this is something I really want to try my hand at?
I when I was like 8 or 9, I heard the Slipknot self-titled that whole thing, which is
Yeah.
just pure unadulterated anger.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah.
and I mean, like when I was 9, I was like, yeah, this is the shit. This is
Yeah.
very cool
For
because I
sure.
never heard anything like that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I kind of just looked up, like older bands like Sepultura
Of
and
course. Yeah.
the less famous, I guess, Nail Bomb. But Nail Bomb is really cool.
I just recently discovered them through a couple other people talking to them, and I listened. I was like, Jesus Christ, where have I been? I can't believe I haven't been listening to this
Yeah.
for longer. It's crazy.
It's sort of an understated project of Max Keller's because he has so many.
Yeah.
So, and they only made the one album, and then they did a live album, I think. But that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, all those bands, I just wanted to do that, but more. And it's even still now to this day, like I'll hear a Vermin Womb song and I'll hear a Primitive Man song and I'll be like, I just wish sometimes like these bands could just go together and it would be more.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Which is like, but I enjoy both of them to the greatest extent. I love both those bands, and Ethan McCarthy is the nicest dude I've ever met.
Oh, really? You've met him before? That's awesome. Huh.
Yeah, he played. They played Toronto. Primitive Man played Toronto, and I went with my girlfriend, and like I was standing, I don't know, 8 feet in front of his full stack,
Really?
and like my teeth by the end of the show hurt because yeah, because it was so loud. I have custom made earplugs, so that was no problem.
Yeah.
My ears were, but my teeth.
Just like the
hurt.
rattling and just how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you stand in front of that much volume for that long, you begin to, I don't know. There's a big thing like Kevin Shields from My Bloody Valentine has said it. Like you go into sort of a trance. You go into sort of like your waves change.
Sure.
So you get on this different sort of like it's almost like a high. You get on that
Yeah.
on a different vibration. So I remember like after an hour of just like standing in front of that cab, when I went outside, I was just in this euphoric sort of.
Interesting.
I've just been pummeled with volume, and that is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like that was the best show I've ever been to. Was just standing
That's
right in
awesome.
front of him, and he just hurt me with sound.
Yeah,
which was
yeah. No, and I think that's kind of the intent of that project, because like their most recent LP is just unbelievable.
It's so long, and it's hard to sit through if you're not used to it.
Yeah, I listened, and after a while, after like listening to maybe like 5 or 6 songs, I just feel like emotionally drained from it, just because it's such a bleak album. Like there's no real release at all. It's just constantly pulling you under. It's
That's it. Are you familiar with like the track listings of that one?
I wish I listened to albums just front to back so often that I don't even realize what the names of songs are anymore.
Yeah, I do that a lot too.
Yeah, but I know like the first. No, I know the song. There's a song called "Commerce" on there. That's all I.
Yeah, the second one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should check out because I know that you've obviously listened to the album, so you'll know what the song is. But the song "Sugar Hole"
Okay.
is, other than "My Will," is probably the best song on there.
Okay.
Because halfway through, there's just like this break, and it picks up speed. And that's one of like, I find that on Scorn they didn't like they did have the different tempos and everything, but I just found on Caustic it was a lot more refined
I see.
than the previous albums.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't ever think he's put anything out in any of the bands that he's been in that I didn't like.
Yeah.
So,
You've also
yeah.
heard "Clinging to the Trees of a Forest Fire," I assume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yeah, Davis introduced me to that band, and I was like, because I was talking about Primitive Man, he's like, have you ever heard this? And I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
And then a couple months later, Vermin Womb put out their first EP, and I was like, they're back. That's cool. All right, nice.
Yeah, no, I found that interesting how he kind of took that clinging thing and it almost seems like he kind of split the two components into the respective projects, which I think is interesting. I kind of wish they would come back and just put them together.
I'm okay with where it's at, just because I know that that's probably the most effective thing for what he's trying to develop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do know what you mean. Like I do have that sort of wish of like I wish those bands would sometimes just merge.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. I'm in a band, so I can do that and then add my own sort of thing to it.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I don't know. The way that I write music is kind of just I'll hear a band do something that I really, really like, and then I'll be like, I want this to sound like that, but just slightly different, and then I'll incorporate that into 10 other the causal nexus of my writings are just a lot of me going, I wish this band did this slightly different, and then combining that with the other 10 things that I said, I wish they would do this slightly different.
And then you would kind of formulate that into something that you, like, what you want it to sound like you would kind of...
Yeah.
Okay.
It kind of just, it just flows all, in a cerebral sense. It kind of just collects there, and then by the time it's already, by the time it's made itself to an instrument, it's already composed properly, where I have a healthy balance of whatever I listen to and also my own influence into it. So.
No, that's very interesting. And so I know we exchanged some emails, but you said you're awake for 20 hours a day about, and I kind of wanted to tie this back to just when you wrote, your EP1, and you were like, you did this essentially, you did almost everything in a day. So like, how the hell do you function doing that, or how do you fall into that kind of that habit? Just
yeah, I've had really bad insomnia since I was like 4, maybe, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then my body's just kind of adjusted to not having a lot of sleep, and like I can function on like 2 or 3 hours of sleep, because I mean, I can still function on no sleep. It's just better if I don't. My mood's probably better, and I'm kinder to the people around me if I have slept at least half an hour or something like that. But yeah, it'll usually be like a stretch of time, like 5, 7, like 8 days, where I'm doing 3 hours a night or 4 hours a night, and then I'll have like one big rest, and then because I've had the one big rest, I'll have sort of like rebound insomnia where I won't sleep for 2 days. So I have to, like, it's a hard balance when it's getting real bad, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes I do get enough sleep, but that is, yeah.
Wow.
I feel as though that comes across in the. It's not as though the music is sloppy, but it is tantric, and it is it is a messy sound with that feedback and the drums that
Yeah, no, and as you describe it, I kind of get that feeling, kind of almost. I seldom have gone that long, like being on a consistent basis where I stay up for that many hours in a row. But if you stay up or you don't get enough sleep, you kind of have like that hazy, almost manic feeling, like you kind of just feel. I don't know. You just kind of feel off balance. I definitely get that vibe from the songs too.
The thing that's great about that is when you stay up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know I haven't really read a study about it or anything, but I'm assuming and I've also never done any psychedelics or anything. But in the same way that I feel like psychedelics will open up your neural pathways so that you're not walking along a beaten trail anymore in your brain. You're sort of just like you're just going wherever, and that's why you have all these these visual hallucinations and all these great weird ideas. Like that's why a lot of stoners, I guess, smoke pot, and then they write the next great album because they were high. But in the same way of that, I think not sleeping, you open up your creative flow, and instead of if you can capitalize on the ephemeral moment of having just that when you open that chasm up, and if you can adjust yourself to work within those limits, or I guess that the absence of constraint, then you can really capitalize on that, and that's what I've just been trying to do with like writing stuff for Lovelace and writing stuff for Decline and
interesting
other projects that I would like to start eventually.
And is this something you're still? Is this something you're still honing or trying to hone, or do you think you've kind of got the strategy formula down for that?
I'm happy with where it's sitting right now, but I'll never have anything down 100%.
I see.
That's kind of just like there's always going to be one step further that I'm willing to take it.
Yeah.
Or to perfect it. There's really no such thing as perfection to me.
Okay.
Though I demand it from myself. So it's sort of like I'm good at being awake and not sleeping and sort of capitalizing on the unrestriction.
Sure. And
that your brain puts itself into.
Yeah, and also being able, it sounds like you're producing or you're working, like it gives you a lot of time to kind of exercise and create a lot of music, even though it hasn't been like actually written and put out in the world yet. I think you said, but yeah.
Yeah, I have enough for 2 full lengths.
Jesus, Under Decline.
I just have to record them.
Under Decline.
Yeah.
Oh wow, awesome.
There's also a lot of the music for Lovelace because we're gonna put out a full length as well this year, and a lot of that has been like written by both myself and Figgy.
Okay.
So that was when I have a riff that just doesn't really like fit the emotional heaviness, but it is still heavy. I'll use it for Lovelace and kind of like lighten it up or like make it, instead of like a dark thing, it'll be like more of a spooky vibe because that's what that band's kind of doing.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, the worst thing about staying up for a long period of time is these tangents that you get off on, like right now, where I just like keep talking, and then at a certain point I'm like, have I been talking this whole time?
No,
because I just don't remember anything that I've said.
I mean, the thing that I've been enjoying about this in some respects too is that instead of me having to just like go through my questions, you've kind of answered a couple of them for me simultaneously, which is also really nice, and it kind of keeps the flow going pretty well. So I haven't noticed any of that. So
yeah, my dad is a radio host or a DJ, I guess, at the big radio station down here. I used to work in Toronto and everything, so I guess I just get that sort of natural flow from him.
Yeah. You don't really let things stutter or stammer. You just kind of keep it moving along
as best as I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're pretty easy to talk to. It's not like you're just.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just sitting there and being like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, just firing off questions and taking notes and.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Like I'm not having a test done or something performed on me. Yeah, it's just we're having a conversation right now, and it's nice. It's nice. It's good.
That's honestly been one of the most fun things about doing this, just kind of talking to folks and just kind of exploring all the different corners of the world, and just music and what's going on just in places I'll probably never visit and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, very true. Don't come now. It's really cold. And the roads are ice.
How cold is it where you are?
It's not even that bad. It's like -12 or something. -12 Celsius.
It's not that bad. Oh, -12 Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Celsius, yeah.
Okay.
But well, it was the other day. It was like -37 Celsius.
That's still pretty goddamn cold because I think here where
I
am,
bad.
Yeah. It's like 30. It's probably like in the 40s right now. So 40,
which is around 0. Yeah, for us, right? Yeah.
That's right. So
yeah, it's cold. It's just the weather. It warmed up and melted everything, and then immediately froze. So like, my girlfriend lives in London, Ontario, so that's about 2 hours from me.
Oh wow, okay.
And the drive back yesterday was like there was a blizzard, there was a whiteout snowstorm, and the roads were ice. And I was like, well, I've got an interview tomorrow, so like I should probably not die today. And then for some reason I didn't die yesterday, so it was really nice. And now we're talking. It's good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your diligence. It always impresses me just when I've scheduled stuff with some folks and how committed they are to talking to me as opposed to doing, like when I do text interviews and I send them to people, sometimes I don't hear back forever or for 6 months. So I'm glad that, being punctual and we can, just.
It's a big deal because, every bit of recognition, every bit of sort of just the fact that you heard it alone and said something about it was really nice, and the fact that you wanted to do something beyond that is even better.
Yeah.
And like I don't know how often you're presented with musicians that are just so thankful for that, but like every time someone comes to a show and every time someone like buys a shirt or anything to that extent, like it does really mean a lot because
for sure.
I don't have to be doing this, you know what I mean? Like this is like, well, I would, that's exactly what I prefer, and like for me I wouldn't see it any other way, but I just mean like bands don't have to play shows.
Yeah.
Because it is sometimes expensive and stuff, and not everyone. It is a commitment. It's like being in another relationship to be in a band, and it's like it's as long as everyone is grateful on both sides.
For sure.
Like as long as the band doesn't think they're doing you a favor, because that's not what it is. Like it's no one's doing anyone any favors. It should just be like a symbiotic relationship of you've come to the show, I'm going to play for you, we're going to have a good time, and then we go home, feel good.
Exactly. So I guess, so there are a couple ways I want to take this conversation, and I'm hoping we can hit both. But you've been noting, so in your local area where you live in Pelham, did I say that correctly?
Yeah, Pelham, yeah.
Pelham. So what's the music scene like? Because I had a question related to, you've already described it, but I was curious if establishing the band, if that was an impetus for trying to fill a niche of extreme metal in Pelham or kind of in the area you live, or is there what's the scene like there? Is it
in Pelham?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Pelham there is no scene. There are no venues in Pelham.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing to play in Pelham, but all the surrounding areas are 15 to 20 minutes away, so it's just like living in a big center. Like, I don't know. I was originally born in Brampton, Ontario, so to get from one side of Brampton to the other was about 35 minutes.
Okay.
And you can get to all of the neighboring townships and cities from Pelham in that time.
Okay.
So
I see.
So Welland around me kind of they did have a decent hardcore scene, and I think it's getting back up. And then St. Catharines is St. Catharines is a very stagnant crowd, but everyone does come out.
Okay.
There's just not a lot of movement, and a lot of people saying I wish people would pit. Mm-hmm. But if everyone who said I wish people would pit would just actually pit, it'd be huge. Yeah. You'd have just a violent eruption of bodies.
Of course.
But that's I appreciate everyone who comes out in St. Catharines, and I do like playing there.
Okay.
But I don't think that there was it's not as though I was on I didn't make Decline to fit into the empty space of where there was anything in St. Catharines per se. Okay. Just because we have such a diverse scene there, and everyone still comes out to the shows. This was more of I want to hear what I want to hear. So it's
makes sense.
I don't necessarily want a Decline show to be the best time you've ever had, because the music isn't indicative of the best time I've ever had.
Yeah.
So I kind of want it to be, with the feedback and the harsh noise, I kind of want it to be something to endure and something to sit through, and kind of I don't care if someone's leaving halfway through because it hurts their ears. It's going to be loud, and it's going to be abrasive and violent. I just want it to sound as gross and as disgusting, grimy as possible, so that it makes you comfortable, and it makes you, just sort of question where you are, what's your sanity at, basically, or where you are mentally. I don't, in the same way that when you listen to Primitive Man and you feel drained after, I don't, it's not that I wish ill upon people, I don't, for the 15 minutes or, 20 minutes that I'm trying to shred my larynx, and everyone else is, giving it their all, I just want that to be a big moment. I want people to be I did see them live, and it was hard to sit through, and there was a lot of general just noise.
Sure.
There was no one in St. Catharines like that.
Okay.
Which is good and also bad, because there was no fan base for the most extreme sort of music. That is, you'd find that in Toronto, and it's hard to play Toronto because there are 100 or 200 venues in Toronto, and everything's always going on, right? So it's difficult to, if you're playing someone's basement in Toronto, you're gonna have the 40 people that you invited on your Facebook page. That's fine. 40 people in a basement, that's great. Even 20 or 10, I don't care if I play to the other bands.
Sure.
That's
so
I'm just doing it, and that's up there with me. So
what is it like playing live for you? Because you noted writing the songs, the sounds you want to hear, and how it's cathartic to kind of take all these feelings and just compress it into just this disgusting sound. But when you play it live, how is it for you playing live? Do you get more catharsis? Do you get catharsis from that as well? And how do people generally react? I don't know how many shows you played, but like
played one. We played one show right after we released Dredge. Yeah.
Okay, and that's it.
Okay. And that was it. And then hopefully some this year, as everyone's schedules seem to be clearing up.
Okay.
But yeah, the one show that we did play was in like a good friend of mine's basement, Bones. Mm-hmm. She I'm not sure she's doing shows anymore, but she was really good to everyone in the scene, and I think she may have been a little bit underappreciated by most people.
I see.
But yeah, she would every Friday or Saturday for the whole summer, basically, she would do basement shows with whatever kind of music, and I saw some of the greatest shows that I've ever seen in that basement, and that's where we played. And we were the first band on, and it was really stressful. That was like our first show. Mm-hmm. Everyone had to go to work after because Luke was working at that point. So we had to be the first band on so we could go to work after, and I worked after as well, and yeah, that was, it was a lot of fun. Like, it was, I'm sure the sound wasn't great because the sonic response of a basement with a 6-foot ceiling is not, A+, but anyways, that was okay. There was a lot of good response to that. I don't really, the first couple songs of that, I was sweating a lot, and I poured water on my head, and then the microphone was electrocuting me.
Oh shit!
But because we didn't have any breaks in the songs for the first two, I just kept going. I just kept getting shocked every time I would put it to my mouth. But it was like I was in the moment. It was good.
Interesting, huh?
And I don't know. I feel like it added maybe a little bit to it because I was like, I hope I don't die right now. But if I do, good way to go.
Yeah, no, that's pretty ballsy of you to keep doing that as opposed to just stopping and being like, all right, let's clean this off. Just going straight ahead through it.
I figured if I hadn't died upon the first one, all of the next currents would be at least of the same strength or weaker.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which is probably not accurate, but I didn't die, so
no,
I don't know. It was fine.
We're talking, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, just as I said before, the St. Catharines scene doesn't really move too much.
Okay.
So I try to get people moving, and I kicked a dude in the chest and everything, and everyone loved it. But it's hard to pit in like I said, the 6-foot high ceiling. It's difficult.
Yeah, that sounds really constrained. But I was also curious about your So are you the founder owner of Woodcutter Studio? Is that yours?
Yeah. Woodcutter is last year around this time was when we finished, but my dad and I built this studio it was like an outbuilding with a really high peaked ceiling. Okay. We bought this house. I've only been living here for about 2.5 years at this point. Mm-hmm. Or 1.5 years. Oh, I don't know. 1.5 years maybe. Yeah. But it's been not too long, and I knew that I wanted to I did a co-op in high school for audio engineering, and I knew I wanted to get into it. And he's always been in the industry anyways, so he does his voice work in here, and he does auditions in here. And basically, I had a lot of music to write, and I know that I wanted to produce records and record bands and stuff like that, and basically the sort of like Kurt Ballou setup where it's in Converge, and that's his thing, and then he has he has God City where he's doing his just pumping out
all the best records ever.
Or record, anything with HM2, which is cool. But yeah, like I built it. It's a big space and it sounds really great. We got lucky with how well the live room sounds. I don't know if you can hear. Maybe the audio is being compressed through just the computer mic, but like, can you hear the ambience of the room, or is it pretty much like
a little bit? But it's not, it's not too like it doesn't distract me or anything, But it's there, but yeah.
It's a big room and it sounds really great for drums, and then guitars you can record anywhere pretty much.
Yeah.
But I've learned to use the room for recording guitars in different ways than I don't know if they've been used before. I've just never heard of them being used, and I'm sure someone has done that and just not told anyone.
Sure.
But yeah, there's I built it with my dad, and it was a really good time. And yeah, there should be. I have bands. I think it's about 8 projects last year.
Oh, really? Okay. So
yeah.
you've already been okay. Yeah. So when I first found it, I thought your EP1 is Decline was like the first thing you put together, but that's obviously preemptive of me to assume that. So you've already worked with bands or artists.
I've already worked with bands. Yeah, it was just that I was very slow with getting the media out. Sort of. To me, that wasn't the important part of doing it. I just wanted to make the sounds coming out of here the best that I could, and I'm still learning, obviously. So like I have a long way to go, but I understand that for people to reach me, they need somewhere to look, and I didn't have a website, and I didn't have anything. So like the Facebook page was made, I think in December or something like that.
Okay.
Maybe
that's why I assumed
Yeah.
that it was like very nascent. So that was just me being presumptuous.
No, that's totally. I mean, I figured that's what it's like for everyone. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of likes, and it doesn't have a huge outreach or anything like that. But it's I've done everything pretty much just by word of mouth, and I have a couple bands coming in February and March.
Nice.
And somewhere in that time, I'm gonna fit a Decline LP.
Awesome.
And a Lovelace LP sometime in this year.
Awesome. And how is the from like the business perspective or just like your personal perspective, are you trying to keep Woodcutter to a specific like subset of genres, or are you kind of open to do any and all sort of productions?
I would do any band really that would want to come with me, as long as they're respectful people. You know, they're not abusers or like apologists or anything like that. As long as they don't have any, just as long as they're decent people.
Yeah.
They're not racist. They're not homophobic. They don't, I just don't want to work with those people. I don't want them in my space, and I don't want to support them. So that's that's my only real. I don't go by genre. I will record anyone who has a decent head on their shoulders, as long as they want to be there and I want to be there. Then it's all good for me. Like.
For sure.
I believe that working in different genres will help you produce the heavier things, and the heavier things will help you produce, the lighter things and that sort of thing. So to say if I were to produce or record an electronic artist, or like mostly synth and stuff like that, would teach me a lot in like working with samples and working with triggers and stuff like that, which I haven't really been too experienced in. So I've just been, in that sense, just been trying to get the best sounds off the floor and processing them the best that I can with what I have upon my budget. But yeah, I don't have any reservations to what genres I prefer to work with.
Okay.
I mean, probably not country.
Yeah.
But that's that's just not my personal preference. Would I record a country artist? For sure, yeah.
Okay.
As long as they're a decent human being and they pay me.
Yeah, of course.
And, but it's I feel as though I'm not difficult to work with. So as long as everyone's okay with constructive criticism and suggestion, that is, I would say those are the two key components of going into a studio. You need to go in with an open mind.
Sure.
And I do too, right? So like I'm still learning, and everyone. It's hard to go and record for the first time. I remember when I recorded with someone else for the first time, I was like, I learned a lot of things about like, okay, so when I come back here, I need to know how to do this, and I need to do this, and
I see.
Make sure this is tight, and you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. And did you so with your father, like, did you start picking up the audio engineering stuff from him as well? Like, how did you kind of fall into just being like what was the inception of, okay, we have this space, and as opposed to me just recording my personal projects or like Decline and Lovelace, like how are you like, okay, let's turn this into, is it just, I don't know the right way to ask the question.
But. I saw my dad doing it, and I saw him being in a studio all the time, and I thought that was really cool. I've grown up around studios, and I've grown up around soundboards and mixers and bands in general. Like I've been to a lot of music festivals
I see.
and all that, and been close with bands. And I just thought the whole music enterprise, basically, like anything that falls under the blanket or umbrella of that is where I want to be.
Okay.
So I took a co-op in high school. Like I said before, it was I didn't really go to school too much in high school.
Okay.
I would skip a lot.
Okay.
It was just really hard for me to like get up sometimes. So I just didn't want to be there, and I thought it was silly that I was being made. I don't like being told what to do by someone who thinks they know it better than me.
Sure.
Because everyone has their experiences and everyone's different.
Of course.
So to tell someone just do this without any consideration, I understand. Anyways, that's just my tangent.
No, you're fine. No worries.
Yeah. I didn't go a lot, but I still needed credits. So I was like, well, what can I do to get credits and not be there at the same time, and maybe do something that I wanted to do? So I was going to do just a construction one because I had worked construction the summer before. And then my friend Jen had just recently started dating Davis, and I was going to do my co-op. I saw the audio engineering one. Someone had told me about it, and I was going to do it with someone in Font Hill, and they're like, no, we only do live sound now. I was like, well, I already know how to do live sound because I've been doing it at the radio station my dad works at for a couple of years now. So, and then Jen was like, Davis will do it with you. So then I did my co-op with Davis, and that was a lot of fun. And then basically from there, just I saw that sort of like, with being in a band at a point, when you're just working with one band, I can see getting bored. It happens. Sure. And like I'm a very progressive mover. Like I just keep plowing through things before they're done, which is, I mean, a fault of my own. I should just stick with something. But
but at least you're aware of it, and you're not.
Yeah,
blind
I'm working on it right now. Yeah, it's
of course.
So I just saw that, and I was like, it would be really fun to just be the next guy who puts out a bunch of records and bands go to, and I really hate working for other people, and like I said, when people tell me what to do. So if I can, as best as I can, be my own boss, do something that I like with people that share the same values as me, that's pretty much a good recipe for just being content with my life. I think I'd be good, doing that for the rest of my life, or at least until I get super bored of it. But at that time, I don't know how old I'll be. So
yeah, and that was something that struck me when you noted, your age, and then you already have the studio. I was just blown away. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like it sounds like you've just got everything. Like you just, kind of exactly. I mean, it's like at least just talking to you, sound very confident in exactly what you want to do, and who you want to work with, and what kind of experiences, and like you're open to any and all, kind of like just to grow and learn. Yeah.
I often get very, very bored very quickly with things.
I see.
I don't know if you're like a big what is it, like, not spirituality, but the whole the fucking, what is your sign? That's sort of like the zodiac signs and all that stuff.
I mean, it's a load of piss for me, but
Yeah, I am aware of the fact that I was born in May, so I'm a Gemini, and for some reason, for me at least, a lot of the characteristics line up, and I just mostly pay attention to the negative ones where it's like can't finish anything they start. The one, because everyone wants to flatter themselves, right? When they go look at their look at their zodiac sign, like what the personality traits are, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm like a caring and loving person. It's like, well, what is wrong with me so I can be better, And of course, that's not a sentence to anyone by any means. It's like, it's going to be subjected to your own influence and your views.
Of course,
I just thought I don't like to read anything out before I've really given it an opportunity. So with that, like the spirituality and like astrology side of things, like I don't swear by it by any means, but I am aware of its presence, and I'm aware of sometimes its striking accuracy. So
yeah, no, like I definitely, I don't want to wave my hand and discredit it. Like there are certain aspects that speak, generally, like even to myself, it's like, oh yeah, I can see bits and pieces here and there, but just kind of like, using that as a way to like live your life or kind of like using it as like a touchstone. Like that's just not something I can really.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's not how I would conduct myself.
No.
But I know that there are a lot of people who swear by it because it helps them live an easier life, and if that's what works for them, then that's totally cool with me. Like, that's their life.
Yeah, respect. Yeah, just respect
Yeah.
your personal. Yeah, if that's
It's like
the
the whole like religious sort of, is there a God? Like, I can't say that there isn't one. Do I think there is a big man in the sky? Like, probably not. Like, it's probably just a collective energy of all that is.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
the cosmic microwave background or whatever they call it.
basically, yeah, I can't condemn someone to a judgment
Yeah.
without knowing how they interpret it. You know what I mean? So it's I just take everything and I just try not to think about it too much.
For sure.
So, but anyways, the reason I was bringing that up is because I get bored very, very quickly with everything. And the only thing that I haven't been very bored with is music and producing bands and recording bands and stuff. And that's something that you will always be able to expand upon.
Yeah.
And the limits will never, you'll never really get into a rut because something else will come up.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
And if you do, you can change. I mean, you can change what you're doing. Like you could just start using different gear, and then you have to relearn all of your stuff.
Sure.
And it's different.
No, it seems like you really, and that's the. Yeah, no, it sounds like you've really carved yourself out into that niche. Like you really understand. Yeah, like if you just get bored with something, you'd be like, oh well, I'll just go find a super heavy band, or you can go in any direction you want.
Yep. Yeah, that's like, I don't know. I've tried to be the most financially responsible I can as a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
So I do have a job. I live at home. Like I am saving and everything, and like
Sure.
I don't have to pay rent to anyone. I pay all my car and my car insurance, my cell phone, whatever else, gas, because I drive a huge fucking truck and it
Oh, I see.
costs way too much in gas. But that is the hand I've been dealt, and I'm grateful for it. So it is yeah, just like I'm responsible with my money to the most that I can be, and everything has a justifiable purchase. Like I'm staring right now at a $400 snare, and that was like a very impulsive purchase, but I was like, I'm going to use it all the time, and I'll use it on every record I ever do until I die. So that's sort of like, and like the wall of amps that's behind me right now is like, is this sort of like, I've bought these all for a purpose.
Sure.
And as soon as I stop using something, it kind of gets the boot. I'll trade it for something, or I'll sell it and put that money into mics.
Yeah. Generally, just to kind of tie off conversations, and I'm still working on kind of closing out questions, but I'm usually curious to hear from folks. If you could give folks who are listening 2 or 3, maybe 4, like bands or albums or record label recommendations that you kind of stumbled upon within the last 6 months or so that people could check out, just like personal favorites, things that really like you latched onto, or things you really loved.
Yeah, there's I don't know, all of the Vermin Women, Primitive Man, like anything Ethan McCarthy touches, it just turns to gold, really. So I mean, if you're in the niche of heavy music, I think that is the most concentrated hate you can find.
Yeah.
In music, and like Dead in the Dirt, Death Wish Records. That's Jacob Bannon's one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so
right.
They just put a band from Windsor called Miners on Death Wish, and they're really cool. They're like Baptist, but a little bit more aggressive and less fun.
Okay.
Like Baptist has that sort of like that lightness in their step, where it's like you're having a good time, you're like jumping around, and then Mine's a little bit darker.
Okay.
But they're from Windsor, Ontario. They're really cool, and they just got signed to Death Wish.
Nice. Okay.
And all the Southern Lord bands, I'm real into.
Yeah.
Like both in the past and now, sort of. Who puts out Sun stuff? Is that Southern Lord?
I think that's Southern Lord. Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Unless it's not.
That's like, I know Sleep is on Southern Lord. And anyways, I'm a big fan of Stephen O'Malley.
Yeah.
In general, his old band. Have you ever listened to Conate?
I listened to it a bit. One of my buddies has gotten on my case about listening to them sometimes, but I've never sat down and just absorbed their music.
You can pretty much find all that they are in the first song off of their self-titled one.
Okay.
It's just, I'm pretty sure it's called Pieces of Quiet, but it's a very sort of, with lack of a better term, demented sound of the feedback, and it has sun tone, but it has drums. So
Okay.
so
Okay.
it was,
Interesting.
it was really cool for that. That was the only thing that was missing sometimes from Sun.
Interesting. Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, there's I don't know, Southern Lord, Death Wish. There's I don't know what record label. I think they're on Death Wish. There's a band from France called Calvaire.
Calvaire. Okay.
It's dudes from Birds and Row. Birds and Row is like a post-hardcore sort of melodic.
Huh.
And Calvaire sounds like Converge but grosser.
Huh.
It's a much
Interesting.
more guttural, like phlegmy. You just have to listen to it, but it's
Okay.
it just sounds harsh
Okay.
and
No, that sounds good.
and nice. It's good. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. No, that sounds perfect. Thank you for your time, man, and I really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no, thank you, man. I've had a great time.